Joining us this week for the Wednesday Bookmark is Adam Young. Adam is a trauma therapist and host of the Place We Find Ourselves podcast. He's a licensed clinical social worker with master's degrees in social work and divinity. He lives in Fort Collins, Colorado with his wife and 2 children. We're going to talk this morning about his book, Make Sense of Your Story, Why Engaging Your Past with Kindness Changes Everything. Adam, thanks so much for your time this morning.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
You say, with the exception of the genes that were passed on to you, the composition of your brain is entirely a function of the experiences you've had in life. If this is true, how does it underscore the importance of our stories?
Well, your stories, plural, because we all have many of them, are simply another way of saying the experiences that you've had over the course of your life. And for the purposes of this book, particularly in your growing up years, your family of origin years, 0 to 18. And so that statement is scientifically true. You've got genes. Genetics influences your brain. But after genetics, your neurons are completely connected to one another based on the experiences that you've had over the course of your life, namely your stories.
Yeah, so true. To make sense of our story, we have to understand the relationship with our parents, and we know this when we were growing up. Hit quickly on what you call in the book the Big Six.
The Big Six are the 6 things that every child needs from their primary caretakers. And those 6 things are: you need attunement, you need responsiveness, you need engagement, you need your parents to be able to regulate your emotions, your affect. You need them to be strong enough in themselves to handle your big emotions, namely anger, fear, and sadness. And then most importantly, you need your primary caretakers, your parents, to be willing to repair harm when they do harm, because we all harm our children. And those 6 things are what every child needs from their parents in order to develop a healthy brain, or in other words, secure attachment.
Yeah, that's very well put. And beyond secure attachment, there are 2 primary types of insecure attachment: avoidant and ambivalent. How are we to know if we are avoidantly or ambivalently attached as adults? Like, what are the signs there?
Sure. So for avoidant attachment, if you grew up and your primary caretaker, particularly your mother, was dismissive or rejecting or shaming of your needs, you are going to develop what's called an avoidant attachment. And then with ambivalent attachment, the way you know is that your primary caretaker was inconsistent with the care, with the Big Six, and intrusive. And by intrusive, what I'm getting at is that the parent looked to you to be something for them that you were not meant to be as a child. In other words, they're looking to you to be a partner, an adult, and meet their needs rather than them meeting your needs. That's what I mean by intrusiveness. And if you have inconsistent caregiving paired with intrusiveness, you're going to develop what's called an ambivalent attachment style.
How might those present in your adult relationships? Like, let's say that you're an avoidant or you're ambivalent. Give us a case,
sure,
an example.
Sure. I'm an ambivalently attached man. And what that means for an adult is that there's a sense in which it is very difficult for me to trust that the other person is going to be there for me with consistency. And so as an ambivalently attached man, I have a sense of, are you there for me? Okay, you proved it to me this morning, but now it's the afternoon. Okay? I need to know that you're there for me and that you're going to respond to my needs. Ambivalently attached people have a great difficulty regulating their internal bodily sensations, regulating their affect. Why? Because they're riddled with anxiety, not knowing if they're going to be cared for sufficiently and consistently by the world.
You make the rather deep point, I thought, that big emotional reactions, even so-called overreactions, as it were, in the present are almost always tied to past experiences that are stored in implicit, not explicit memory. What's the takeaway here, Adam, especially for someone who just wants to better manage their own emotions in situations that they find triggering?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is that you need to understand that when you have what you think of as an overreaction, can there be some measure of curiosity and kindness about why you just reacted that way? So many of us have what we think of as overreactions. And my point in the book is that it's not an overreaction at all. It's a reaction that's based on your implicit memories from your growing up years. And therefore, it's perfectly congruent with your experiences. Now, in this situation, it might be disproportionate to the present circumstance, but that doesn't make it an overreaction. And therefore, can you have some kindness and some curiosity about, okay, why did I have such a big reaction just now?
Yeah, because when we have those overreactions, it can be very difficult to forgive yourself.
Yes.
After. Yeah. Totally get that. You believe that your anger at God counterintuitively is a result of how important God is to you. Let's talk about the spiritual side. How is that the case?
Well, look, I have a son and I have a daughter, and when they get angry at me, it is data that the relationship that I have with them is very important to them. I am not coming through for them or for them or responding to them in a way that matters to them. If I was not important to them, they would not have anger at me. The same is true with our relationship with God. And the biblical example of this par excellence is the book of Job. As the book of Job unfolds, Job's anger at God increases. And why? Because God is unresponsive to Job. That's what Job's angry about. And at the end of the book of Job, God commends Job for his pursuit of God and for his engagement with God, and inevitably for his anger at God.
Such a good point. Adam, there's lots more in the book. We're skipping so much here, but leave us with a final thought on what it looks like for each of us to truly engage our own story with kindness, our own stories with kindness.
Yes. What it looks like is it's not an invitation. This book is not an invitation to tell the overarching 30,000 foot view of your story. It is an invitation to write the particular scenes that you still remember from when you were 10 years old, 14 years old, 6 years old. Something happened. It lingers in your memory, and it is a story. And it needs to be told, it needs to be written, it needs to be witnessed by another person so that the boy or girl in the story can be named well, and you can feel the unfelt feelings that your body still holds, and you can heal.
This book is deeply thoughtful. I got so much out of it. Honestly, there's a lot more in the book, but that kind of gives you an idea. Would super encourage people to buy it and read it. Very good book. Make sense of your story. Why engaging your past with kindness changes everything. Adam Young, our guest this week for the Wednesday Bookmark. Thanks so much, Adam.
Thank you.